Welcome back, New School Sensei podcast. So I'm your host, Lance Douglas. Got my twin brother, Ken Douglas. He's got a bit of attitude today.
Got the hat.
Yeah, because we got Colby in today as well. So black belt AET legend.
Hey boys.
He'll be we're going through leg locks, so teaching leg locks safely to beginners. But I mentioned to Ken, like, all the podcast guests, they're coming in looking sharp. And Colby, guess what Ken said?
What did Ken say?
It's like, he said, well, if you're an ugly guy, you're an ugly guy. He used a bit of profanities in there as well, you can guess. So he's got no love, but it is what it is.
The haircut's like a 1%er. You know, like, if you're ugly, you're ugly. Like, it's not going to change the shape of your face.
Yeah, honestly, that is so fair. Every week I go to the barber expecting a different result, and then they just keep panning out the same way.
Do you go weekly?
Like week and a half,
wow,
2 weeks.
Respect.
Literally, I went like 2.5 weeks this time, and my missus told me, like, get over there, mate. Can't do it.
Wowee. So we got Colby Allen, Pan Pacific black belt champ, just an awesome coach as well. Runs the kids program at AET, runs the leg lock class as well. He's got me many times. I remember before you were actually really good at leg locks, Colby. I remember before the lockdowns, we were doing a lot of gi. You had a good lapel guard, good over-under pass.
That's what I remember.
Then we had the lockdowns here in Victoria, and I don't know what you were doing in your lockdown sessions, but you came back and you were killing everyone with those, the leg locks.
I've never seen someone improve in skill and effectiveness in such a rapid amount of time, you know?
Yeah, well, like you said, until brown belt, I think, like late purple, brown belt. I think I got my brown belt end of 2019, and then obviously start of 2020 we went into the lockdowns, and pretty much all the way up until brown belt I was not quite exclusively, but certainly predominantly in the gi. I think I would do like maybe 1 or 2 sessions a week in no gi, but you know, like, I mean, you guys saw it here at AT. We were predominantly a gi gym
100%.
until COVID. That's when our kind of like no gi transition happened. And then during lockdown, obviously socially distanced, of course, we were doing some sessions.
100%.
Of course,
100%.
you be responsible. And yeah, then so a couple of things kind of happened, like, obviously, there was no comps to train for. You know, everyone around the world was still training and competing. Like Sydney and Queensland still had comps on. We'd be on Instagram seeing all these kids competing, doing the things, and we were stuck not even being legally allowed to train. And it was kind of trending towards no-gi, and we obviously didn't have any structured classes, so we kind of just vibed wanting to try out no-gi, try out something a little bit different, because why not? And then we started doing no-gi, and was like, this is actually kind of fun, you know what I mean? And, yeah, like, there was a couple of key things that happened, but essentially we just had 6 high-level guys that, you know, wanted to train together. We were either, like, brown or black belt at that point, and I just kind of decided everyone's doing leg locks. Like, that was, you know, when Lockie Giles went off to ADCC, and obviously had an amazing time, and I was like, I would like to try leg locks. And I think because I was studying osteo at that time, it kind of gave me an advantage in understanding mechanically what we're trying to do to legs.
That's a secret sauce.
It was honestly huge. And then as soon as I started doing it, I just kind of felt like I'd found what I was supposed to do in grappling. You know how, like, we will tell people to find their game and, like, what they're good at, and some people just naturally gravitate towards some things. As soon as I started doing leg locks, I was just like, this is what I was supposed to do. And then, yeah, we just kind of ran with it.
There you go.
You found your purpose in life, making legs.
Yeah, straight up, quit the job, just full-time leg locker, really pays the bills, you know.
If you had to guess, how many leg lock taps have you had since 2020? Because I feel like you've tapped me probably 100 times. I might have gotten you once or twice.
Don't say that too loud, mate.
He's going to get me. You probably got about 100 times, I reckon.
Well,
you got to have probably about 10,000 taps in the last 4 years.
Got a spreadsheet, don't worry about that.
Well, look, like you said, before we came back and, you know, we could all, like, train together again, because there was, probably a good 9 months when none of us actually saw each other, right? nobody other than like the 5 or 6 boys I was training with knew that I was doing leg locks. So then I came from this like literally worm guard playing gi player to a just down the line leg locker in no gi, and yeah, I kind of took advantages of people's ignorance at the start. But now, man, you see in the gym just from, you know, there's me and a few other boys that are really, really hard into the leg locks, and you can just see the level from being exposed to that has risen in terms of everyone's defense. So rising tides rise all boats. I think that's the first time I'll ever use that expression, so forgive me if I've pushed
The rising
it,
tide lifts all ships.
Lift, yeah.
Something like that, yeah?
This is why he runs the podcast.
Hey.
So yeah, like once I think we all started getting into the swing of it, my success rate's certainly gone down, but that's like elevated other parts of my game.
Definitely, because I still remember in 2020, Lachlan Giles got that bronze, tapped a lot of different monsters.
Yep.
And then essentially, Ninos, our coach, he's just like, hey, okay, boys, we're going to start in 50-50, and if you hurt anyone, I'm kicking you out of the AT.
Yep.
And we just played a lot of 50-50.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that was super fun.
Well, I mean, you look at, and I think it kind of goes back to what the meta was. So, like, I've looked at this a fair bit. If you look back at that time, Leandro Lowe was, you know, the absolute GOAT at that point. And that float pass style that he does was, you know, like, so...
It was like an active posting, yeah?
Yeah, and, like, that's what everyone was doing, right? Like, everyone just wanted to be like Leandro Lowe. So everyone was, like, in that high hip position, posting on their hands so their legs are light. And then Eddie Cummings comes along, DDS come along, Craig Jones comes along, Lockie Giles come along, and they just start taking advantage of that and leg locking everyone easily. And like you know, when EBI and these kind of comps come through and you see the effectiveness of leg locks, everyone's like, I also want to be able to tap people in 30 seconds. This is the easiest path for me to 100%. Do so. And yeah, I think as soon as, especially here in Australia, when we saw one of our boys go over to, you know, an international scene, it was what, 2019 ADCC?
Yep.
Bronze in the absolute division against like Muhammad Ali, some absolute monsters.
Kynan,
yeah.
Gaudio.
Yeah,
They're all natty too, yeah?
All natty, of course, all natty.
Didn't you tap a Brazilian in Pampax with a last name? He was from GF team, Gaudio. He had a
Gabriel Gaudio.
Yeah, because I was actually doing a bit of like study on you.
Yeah.
Couldn't find much matches. Couldn't find that many matches on you.
Yeah.
So there's 2 Pampac matches that just passed in the last few months.
Yeah. So
maybe a Salmon challenge or something like that, and that's it.
So there's a few on YouTube. One of them is buried like in the overall like hour-long clip of the event. There's one on there. A lot of them just like on Instagram, some of them behind paywalls, but
yeah, there you go.
It's tough with jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? But yeah, that one was the Pampax final last year against Gabriel.
Oh, was that last year?
Yeah.
Oh.
This year I
because you Aoki'd him.
I did Aoki Gabriel, so that was the final of last year's division.
Okay.
And then
that's why you're pumped.
Yes, and then this year I do kind of get carried away after a match, but yeah, this year
ran into Colabate.
Yeah, Colabate, that was eye-opening.
He was different. On you like a bad rash. When he got that underhook, he just cut through.
Yep.
Well, he didn't really cut through. He sort of went for the arm then.
Yeah, so he that was second match into the final, and I got to his leg early, but he just would not sit still, and I just couldn't consolidate it. Like, I had a pretty dodgy 50 hook in there, and we were going towards the edge of the mat, and I just got a little bit I should have just cinched it and then slowed things down. And then once he got on top of me, he gave a little nod to Guy Mendes off on the side.
Yeah.
And I kind of I took that okay, we're going to play now, because I feel like they come over and they want to try to highlight reel the boys. We've seen it. It's cool to watch when it's not you or your teammates. But I think they see if they can, rack up some points, get the highlight video going. And then I saw him nod over to Guy, and that was it. It was, see you later. So, what can you do? He's a very, very high level jiu-jitsu guy, Colabate. He just won gold appendix. He's unbelievable.
You would have to break his leg to get him to tap.
Yeah. But I've never felt, because it's really cool to feel that level. I was originally going to go up to middleweight to take on Ariel Tabak.
Oh,
He's
yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah.
another super, super high level guy here in Australia. And then Colby signed up the last day of Regos. And I literally, Ninos will tell you, I had to beg and plead, coach, put me in, coach.
Yep.
I want to have a crack. And he let me go against Cole. And just feeling what that footwork was like was really, really cool. The way that he played with like his center of mass and how he like would load up different parts of his body to give himself spring was really, really cool. And then the lateral movement, the speed of it, is something I haven't felt before. And I just, I'm a 30-year-old guy now. Boys.
Masters.
Yeah, age catches us all. I just know I don't have that like lateral movement. I never really did, to be honest. And even in the gym, I haven't felt anyone just like be in front of me and then on my flank in such a short amount of time. I haven't watched the video back. I have like my own one, but I haven't watched the one on YouTube with thousands of views back just yet. So I don't know if it looks that fast, on video. It always feels different when you're in there to when you're watching it. But
It looked like he just jumped you. He just put that underhook and just...
But like, I've never felt anyone just spring to my flank so quick before. And once he was on my side, that was it. He wasn't letting go. And I knew he wanted, like, he does that sort of like topside crucifix arm lock. And I was like, he's not getting me with his move, and then he got me with something else. So
There you go.
yeah, what can you do? That's how it goes.
Let's bring it now. So you versed high level Colabate. Now you've also got fresh white belts in AET. So the topic today, we're going through how are you going to teach leg locks safely to beginners? Because Fresh Joe white belt, he ain't Colabate.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. Hey, you never know. Maybe we'll have like one come through the doors one day. That would be nice. But no, it is really cool still getting to like coach and take, because I've been coaching new guys since I was a blue belt, to be honest. At our old gym, a few of us boys were, like members, competitors, whatever, but we were also coaching a majority of the time for one reason or another. So it's been a long time of working with guys who have, just come in and want to learn. And, leg locks in particular are their own kind of specific set of challenges with new guys for sure.
So run us through, how would you teach, let's just say the example is a day one white belt. You have to teach them leg locks. You got no other choice. How would you do it and make it safe too?
It sounds terrible, but I have literally been in that situation where like, I'm just, new guys come in and we're doing like a leg lock that day and I'm like, all right, mate, you're coming along for the ride. Where it gets tricky for new guys is rotation. We didn't talk about this when we talk about like, leg locks to higher skilled people, but you need to actually mechanically understand what you're trying to do to a leg in order to break it, right? Trying to convey to someone who is only just starting jiu-jitsu, maybe, they lift or run or whatever, that might be the extent of their health literacy, of their biomechanical knowledge. Trying to talk to them about counter-rotating different segments of someone's leg is quite difficult, but trying to explain to them that we're trying to lock their leg in place and then extend their foot on a straight foot lock is a significantly easier prospect.
Yep.
So taking rotation out of teaching leg locks, I think, is super, super important for just getting new guys to understand mechanically what they're trying to do and not just like ape squeeze something on.
So you're starting with a straight foot lock?
Straight foot lock, even knee bars. Knee bars is actually
Okay,
way easier to teach than an ankle lock, which I think is interesting. Like really, if you think about it at its core, finishing a knee bar is just like straightening someone's leg and then extending your hips, right? So like getting into a knee bar and keeping a knee bar against a resisting opponent are two different things. Like that's quite difficult. But teaching someone how to break someone's knee just with a straight knee bar is actually probably the simplest way into teaching leg locks. Essentially, I try to have everyone have a very solid understanding of mechanically what we're trying to do to someone's leg each time we try to break it. Obviously, we're not trying to break it, but when we're trying to finish someone with a leg lock. So that way that they're not trying, like when in their head, if it's not coming on, their first thought isn't like just do it harder.
Yeah.
It's what mechanically am I lacking? At least in theory, right? We can't like be in people's heads, but hopefully that's, what everyone's thinking. So I think at the start, trying to simplify the mechanics of each move is the easiest way. And the easiest submission to do that with is a knee bar. Because essentially all you're looking to do is secure the foot on your chest, clamp onto the hip, keep the knee in between our hip line, and then extend our hips. So realistically, even someone in their first day should be able to do those 4 things with a little bit of help. So I think, like building up their competency in recognizing mechanics of various submissions is a critical step, even in someone's first few, months, weeks, whatever, of training. And having those little, like, cheat codes, like little subs or little systems that you can teach somebody to kind of make them go, aha, like, I see what these guys are actually doing, kind of gives them like an easy introduction into the overall world of jiu-jitsu, which is hopefully more mechanical in nature than just like
brute strength.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Trying to get rid of that and then get them thinking about what am I actually trying to do to somebody.
I like it. So if you're trying to help me out at Twins as a coach, if I want to teach my guys how to actually attack the legs, what would a general sort of plan be for the class? We've got like an hour class. How would you just literally warm up to the end of the class? How would you run it?
So I don't believe in warm-ups.
Me neither.
Yeah, like a warm-up is a personal responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Like if, there's people who are late, who are busy, whatever, I understand, but like realistically to, get a little bit of a sweat on, warm up, whatever's feeling a little bit tired, that's on you. I'm there to teach you jiu-jitsu, not like make you sweat. So when I teach, I'm straight into technique at the very start.
Yep.
If I've got an hour class, I like to just spend a third of that on technique, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty of over teaching. Like that's probably my biggest flaw as a coach. I can just like go on a sermon sometimes, which is not. It happens to the best.
Some people
of us.
love that.
Yeah. So, and we can talk about that.
But some
too.
people don't like it.
Yeah. So, especially with MMA fighters, like that's a tough one. But like, I try to just nail down my key principle and my key mechanic of whatever I'm showing, right? So that someone can leave that class with like an overarching objective that they're trying to achieve from that particular technique we're working. And then if there's 4 or 5 mechanics that go into whatever move we're doing, hopefully in that class they retain like 2 or 3 of them, right? Because let's be honest, even us as, competent grapplers or whatever, if we learn a new technique, we don't just like get it at the start, you know what I mean? So trying to instill, the overarching principle and at least a good portion of the mechanics that go into it is my aim at the start.
Yep.
So I'll spend 20 minutes or so going through the technique.
Yep.
Then we'll do some like specific positional sparring. And
So
then,
if you're starting with the knee bar, what sort of position would you start?
Well, this is an interesting one. So what I do in the leg lock class here at AET is, especially for these guys that haven't done a lot of leg locks in the past, right? Like we've got a lot of guys who'll come from the gi, or maybe they come to this class because their gym doesn't have, a huge amount of leg locks going on. So a lot of these guys, their main exposure to these positions are here and on a Saturday morning. So I will put them in like an in the hole type structure. If anyone doesn't know what that is, we'll have groups on their back in the middle of the mat. People will come off the wall, they'll play on top, and then the person on bottom is attacking leg locks, the person on top's trying to defend, right? So I get them to go through an entry without resistance.
Yep.
So it can be the entry that we went through that day if they want. It can be their favorite entry. It can be their weakest entry. I leave that to the initiative of the person training. But they go through the entry on the person coming off the wall without any resistance until they get into the entanglement. So maybe it's like we start in reverse de la Riva, we off balance them, we kick our leg through, we get to single leg X, we go from there.
Okay, yep.
Right? So that way you get exposure to like that entry mechanic, but you get to do that wherever. right? Like at your gym, you get to play reverse de la Riva whenever you like. You get to go to single leg X whenever you like, but you don't necessarily get time to really sit into like the meat and potatoes of the entanglement.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get to the entanglement, roll starts.
Yep.
From there, you know, if I've taught the class correctly, everyone should have a very clear idea of what their goal is and what they're looking to proceed towards. And you get that chance within that rolling time to, one, ascertain if you can progress to that, or if you're like, if you have a hole in your game that they're able to escape, or you just hit a brick wall where you're unable to make forward progress. And then if you do get to, you know, the breaking mechanic, are you sufficient in that to get a tap? And if you're not, why not? If you are, how did you get there? And then we lock that in.
If we go back to getting the tap, do you just tell them to catch and release, or you tell them slowly put it on? Like what's, yeah.
So I don't put the onus on the person attacking. Obviously, we tell people you're not looking to hurt anyone. So we're not like just ripping things on. But I give a fair bit of discussion to the person being attacked and what you're looking for when you're defending leg locks. So if they have your heel exposed and you can't move your knee, that's it. We stop. And then I tell everyone, guys, if you're, you know, trapped somewhere and you tap, you don't just have to let go of the position. You can like tap, everyone calms down a little bit, and then explore, hey, like, was that on? You know what I mean? And then like maybe let them slowly go through, you know, the finishing mechanic, and you feel whether it was on or if it was a little bit loose. And then for the next time, you have that feel in your head of that was either locked on, I was in big trouble there, I had to tap, or, okay, I had like some options available to me there. And touch wood, obviously I won't touch wood, but we haven't had any injuries yet going that way, because I want to like empower people that leg locks are not any more scary than like a Kimura, for example. And you should have a recognition of when you are and are not in serious danger. And by having, you know, like good people in the class, we obviously sort of like vet, you know, everyone's personality type. If we had someone that...
Just ripping them on?
Yeah, like if we just couldn't trust to kind of like look after your partners and, you know, be there for the right reasons. No one's trying to win in leg lock class, like who cares? Then they just wouldn't be part of that program. But, you know, we've got a good crew now. We've got a good common understanding of like the level that the intensity that we should be at. And honestly, everyone's actually really good at like helping each other out. Like,
that's good. You built a good culture.
Yeah, like if everyone, you know, someone gets tapped and they actually get time to like explore the position, or like they get stuck in an entanglement, they're like, I just didn't know where to go. And then the other guy will be like, yeah, I think like you could have done this or that. And like letting people explore through their own learning is a super important part. Not just like, you know, I see it happen and then I'm like, okay, you should have done this, that, or the other. That's not really how people learn. So give, obviously, you know, like direction to the people attacking, in that we're not trying to hurt people, and build that culture, but also empower the people who are who are being attacked to recognize when they are in danger and learn off of that, and then explore through their own learning.
I like it. It's comprehensive. And then the last part of the class, you're just doing free rolling, or...
So, I give people options, because again, just because it is a specific leg lock class, like it would be different if it wasn't, like if it was just a general class. In a general class, I'll always let people roll. That'll be like if I, you know, stuffed up and I, you know, like went on a tangent, as has been known to happen, and I didn't give people enough rolling time, I would leave that class like I stuffed up as a coach.
How much rolling time is enough as a coach, you reckon?
It should be at least a third of the...
At least a third?
Yeah, in my opinion.
So you got an hour class?
Yeah, so it should be like 4 5-minute rounds, I would think. You know, like how you structure that.
I like it.
It also depends on, you know, where you guys are at, if they compete, like where you are in the competition year. Like, you know, right now, post-comp, post-Pan Packs, we're all a bit...
It's relaxed,
We're all a bit banged up going into comp, so we took that way, way down. But for the most part, like, in my opinion, and I mean, look, I'll get you guys to weigh in on this as well. Our role as coaches is to facilitate learning. And the main way that people will learn is by doing.
100%.
So if I take away your time and opportunity to actually do the thing so that I can preach to you about how I think you should learn and what you should learn, I'm actually, not only am I not doing the best for you, I'm being an active detriment to your learning. So like...
It's the old school way, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it the preacher on the stage? Is that what you call it, Lance?
The sage on the stage.
Sage on the stage.
Sage on the stage. I like that. It's got a ring to it. Yeah. So like this, we as coaches, not saying like us specifically, but the coaching fraternity or whatever. That sounded terrible. It sounded better in my head, but whatever I'm trying to say. We, I think, can sometimes get like an inflated sense of our self-importance, and let's be honest. People aren't going to learn our entire game just because we tell them, right? They are going to roll, use the ideas that we've given them, and then they're going to form their own jiu-jitsu journey. And that's going to be the same in whatever realm it is. So you have to give them the opportunity to do that. And then they will actually just learn by doing. They will gain that unconscious competence just by doing. And then you can mold them from there. So if they're not spending a significant portion of the class actively doing the thing, I feel like we're probably not learning in an ingrained way.
All right, so coaches out there, at least a third of the class has to be rolling.
Are you talking like situational rolling or free rolling?
Hui.
In your opinion?
Yeah, so depends on what we're doing. So like, the closer to the end point, so like for jiu-jitsu, that's submitting someone, right? The closer to the end point of the technique that I'm showing or the position we're working on, whatever. So like, let's say, at Combat 1, we spent like 3 months this year doing the back control. So there I prioritize more specific rolling time because you don't get as much time in those dominant positions in a round, right? Like that just makes sense. If you do get to that dominant point, the fight's going to probably be over pretty quick, right? You're either going to succeed or they're going to escape. So I spent so much time doing specific sparring there so that they could like actually get time exposure to it and then less time doing free rolling. Whereas if you're doing like closed guard passing or half guard passing, they get exposure to that in the round. They don't need as much like specific sparring. Does that make sense?
100%.
So yeah, I hate being this guy to answer your question with it depends, but it kind of does depend.
It's true.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Sounds like you probably like this too, Colby. You're more of a guide on the side.
Yeah. Honestly, I like that. Sage on the stage versus guide on the side. I'm definitely the guide. But yeah, and I've said this like to the MMA boys, especially. Like I am just there to facilitate you guys learning. That's it. I'm not there to like tell you this, that, and the other. I'm just there to give you opportunities to develop your skills. So the single best way to do that is give them rolling time in like safe conditions, right?
Bang.
That's awesome. I think the big takeaway for me from this conversation, Colby, I like how you said you'll roll once they've entered into the position. Because I know, say if we use back attacks, like if you just start cold on the back, it's actually really hard to submit someone.
Yeah.
But if you do the transition and then get the back and then roll, like I know in comp, every time I've been submitted on the back is
in the transition,
Yeah.
So I reckon I'm definitely doing that, not only with leg locks, but back control. And then also, just really breaking down the biomechanics.
Yeah.
Because that's probably why you got so good is like you're very detailed and systematic on what is actually happening in the body. It's probably with all your osteo and paramedical experience.
Well, I mean, look, I think that you, like, whatever it is, like even a Kimura, for example, like I think Kimuras are way scarier than leg locks. Way scarier. Like, if you gave me a choice between hurting my knee or tearing my rotator cuff, take the knee.
Really?
Rotator cuffs don't heal, mate. Like, and once your shoulder's gone, that's it. Like, and you use your arm all the time. Like, obviously you use your leg to walk, but your body has all these strategies to get around, like a knee not hinging correctly. You can't replace a shoulder, mate. You know what I'm
So
saying?
is that the new meta? So should start attacking the shoulder.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, yeah, your training partners.
Like, go watch that Colabate match. I
He
tapped
took the
quick,
shoulder,
mate.
yeah.
I tapped quick, mate. I don't want no
He
part of it.
pinned your arm as well, didn't he? Pinned the arm. Yeah.
Well, see, because he likes to do that, like, mounted, not mounted, like that side control crucifix where he goes for the straight arm lock and then gets the triangle. And I was like, 4D chest, I've seen my arm. Yeah. And it's fine, so. But, yeah, I think it's super important. Whatever submission series or, like, you know, for example, I teach a lot of, like, half guard parts. I do occasionally play top game as well. Very rarely, but I do occasionally.
I've seen
do
you
it.
play top in those competitions, but you play top and you were jumping on the legs from top position.
Yeah,
Very
so
interesting.
look, that's like a competition meta of like forcing someone. You know, you show them like an outside pass, you force them into, you know, specific retention strategies, and then it exposes the legs, right? Because like they're using their legs to keep your whole body away from them. So that's a competition meta. But when I teach, especially for MMA guys who, you know, half guard is elite. Top half guard is elite in MMA. So actually like mechanically breaking down what you're trying to do to someone's hip, shoulder, neck, so that you keep them pinned on the floor is king. And those boys having a mechanical understanding of that is so, so important. Because then you can just improvise it. You know what I mean? If you mechanically understand what you're trying to do to someone, you don't need a move. You just need to like maneuver them in certain positions.
If you got the concept, you can make up 100 different moves.
That's it.
Just for that concept.
Like, bro, I'll be honest, sometimes, you know, someone's like, how did you do that? And I was like, like, where did
I
you
closed
learn
my
that?
eyes and I woke up on top.
Just pure vibes, bro.
Tony Div
Like,
style.
it's the jiu-jitsu equivalent of yapping, you know?
That's it.
There you go. Let's wrap it up there. So awesome episode. Guys, if you want any more, especially from Colby, hit him up. Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram?
Colby Allen, BJJ.
Bang. And we'll see you guys on the next one.